We're incredibly grateful for your support. Before we begin today's tale, tell us, which city or country are you joining us from? We love connecting with our global audience. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. Recovery Room Revelations. The steady beeping of medical equipment pierced through Gerard's consciousness as his eyes adjusted to the stark fluorescent lighting. His muscled frame felt weak from disuse, but his mind remained sharp despite the fog of medication. He assessed his surroundings, a habit ingrained from years of analyzing architectural spaces. Dr. Lawrence Reed's white coat rustled as he moved around the bed, checking various monitors. "Congratulations on your recovery, Mr. Walker." The doctor's voice carried genuine warmth as he reviewed the charts. "Your wife visited daily for 2 months." Gerard's steel-gray eyes fixed on the doctor's face, searching for any hidden meaning behind those words. His throat felt raw when he attempted to speak, but he forced the words out anyway. 2 months? His voice emerged as a gravelly whisper. "Yes, Mrs. Anderson was quite thorough in monitoring your condition." Dr. Reed's slight hesitation didn't go unnoticed. She took extensive notes during each visit, asking very specific questions about your organ functions. Gerard's jaw tightened imperceptibly. April's scientific mind had always been one of her most attractive qualities, but now that same nature took on a sinister shade. He managed what he hoped looked like a weak smile, playing the role of the grateful patient while his mind cataloged every detail. "Your recovery is nothing short of miraculous," Dr. Reed continued, tapping his pen against the clipboard. "There were moments when we weren't sure. Well, your organ systems were failing in an unusual pattern. We couldn't identify the underlying cause. My wife must have been worried sick," Gerard remarked, watching the doctor's reaction carefully. "She was very involved in your treatment plan." Dr. Reed cleared his throat. "I'll have the nurses bring you something for the discomfort. Take it easy, Mr. Walker. We'll start physical therapy tomorrow." Once alone, Gerard surveyed his hospital room. Flowers filled every surface. Orchids, roses, lilies. Each arrangement more perfect than the last. April's touch was evident in their precise placement. Get well cards stood like soldiers on parade, their positions measured with mathematical accuracy. Everything screamed of his wife's compulsive need for control. His phone lay on the bedside table, carefully positioned parallel to the edge. Gerard reached for it with trembling fingers, not all of his weakness feigned. The device powered on, revealing hundreds of notifications. He ignored most of them, scrolling until he found messages from his brother. Dwayne's latest text made his blood run cold. "She only came to the hospital to keep suspicion away. The poison in your coffee was untraceable. Your daughter caught her mixing it. That's why she sent our niece to boarding school." Gerard's fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles whitened. Sophie, his brilliant, observant daughter, had seen through her mother's facade. And for that, she'd been banished to Switzerland, stripped away from her only protection. The thought of his 13-year-old girl alone in a foreign country, carrying such a burden, made his chest constrict with rage. More messages from Dwayne filled the screen. Each one added another piece to the puzzle. Surveillance photos of April meeting her colleague Justin Klein in secluded locations, financial records showing suspicious transfers, and most damning, a still image from Sophie's video showing April measuring liquid into his coffee cup. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. A nurse entered, carrying a small paper cup containing pills. "Dr. Reed ordered these for pain, Mr. Walker." Gerard studied the medication carefully. "What exactly am I taking?" The nurse seemed taken aback by his intensity. "It's just regular pain medication, sir. Would you like me to verify each pill?" "Please." His tone left no room for argument. She identified each medication, showing him the markings. Only when he was satisfied did he accept them, making a mental note to have Dwayne verify the nurse's information. After she left, Gerard returned to his phone, this time opening his banking apps. His password still worked. April hadn't locked him out yet. Their account showed regular activity. Bills paid, groceries purchased, charitable donations made. Everything appeared normal on the surface, just like their marriage had seemed perfect to outsiders. He opened his email next, scanning through months of correspondence. In his sent folder, he found messages he had no memory of writing. Emails to clients about taking medical leave, responses to colleagues' concerns, even casual notes to friends. April had accessed his accounts, maintaining his digital presence while he lay unconscious. The level of calculation behind her actions made his jaw clench. She'd thought of everything, managed every detail to maintain their facade of domestic bliss while systematically trying to end his life. The betrayal ran deeper than mere infidelity or greed. She turned their entire life together into an elaborate murder scheme. Gerard's thoughts turned to Sophie. His daughter had always been perceptive, noticing small details others missed. She'd inherited that trait from him, along with his determination. April had underestimated them both, assuming she could control every variable in her experiment. He pulled up the website for Sophie's boarding school, studying the pristine images of the campus. The school's headmistress, Priscilla Mayer, appeared in several photos, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Gerard memorized her face, adding her to his mental list of conspirators who would eventually pay for their roles in this betrayal. Another knock at the door preceded April's entrance. She moved with practiced grace, her lab coat exchanged for an elegant blouse and tailored pants. "Darling, you're awake." Her voice carried the perfect mix of relief and joy. Gerard watched her approach, seeing her through new eyes. Her beautiful features now seemed like a mask, her graceful movements those of a predator. But he met her embrace with convincing warmth, noting how she pressed against his chest where she knew the heart monitor sensors were placed. "The doctors weren't sure when you'd wake up," April said, perching on the edge of his bed. Her hand found his, fingers automatically checking his pulse even as she smiled. "I've been so worried." "So I heard," Gerard replied, squeezing her hand with carefully calculated pressure, enough to seem affectionate, but not enough to reveal his returning strength. "Dr. Reed said you visited every day." "Of course I did. I needed to make sure you were getting the best care." She reached for the water pitcher, pouring him a glass. "Are you thirsty?" Gerard accepted the water, making a show of having difficulty holding the cup. "Thank you." "How's Sophie doing at her new school?" "She's thriving." April's answer came too quickly, too smoothly. "The headmistress says she's adjusting beautifully. It was such a wonderful opportunity. I couldn't let her miss it, even with everything happening here." "Our daughter's future comes first," Gerard agreed, watching April's micro-expressions. "Though I miss her. Maybe we could video call her later." "She's probably busy with classes now," April deflected. "The time difference, you know. But I'll set something up soon." She stood, straightening her clothes with precise movements. "I should let you rest. The doctors say recovery will take time." "I'm sure it will." Gerard let exhaustion seep into his voice. "But I have you taking care of me." April leaned down to kiss his forehead, her lips cool against his skin. "Always, darling. I'll bring you some coffee tomorrow. The good kind, not this hospital stuff. With my special supplement, of course. You'll need your strength." Gerard watched her leave, his expression remaining soft until the door closed behind her. Only then did his features harden into granite, his eyes turning to ice as he reached for his phone again. He typed a message to Dwayne. "She's planning to finish what she started. Time to move forward with the plan." The response came immediately. "Everything's ready. Jackie's got eyes on Justin's lab. Israel's working on April's encrypted files. Just play along until you're strong enough to move." Gerard deleted both messages, then settled back against his pillows. Let April think she was in control. Let her believe her loving husband was none the wiser about her murderous intentions. He would play the role of grateful patient, doting spouse, and trusting victim for now. But beneath the surface, rage and determination burned like forge fire, tempering his resolve. April and her conspirators would learn the costly error of their assumption that trust equated to weakness. They had tried to destroy him, sent his daughter into exile, and corrupted everything he had built. Gerard closed his eyes, his mind already mapping out the steps to his revenge. They would pay all of them, not just April and Justin, but everyone involved in the conspiracy. He would dismantle their operation piece by piece, destroy their lives as they had attempted to destroy his. But first he needed to get stronger. needed to gather evidence, needed to ensure Sophie's safety. Then, and only then, would he show them that they had created their own destruction by betraying the wrong man. Chapter 2. The Perfect Life Unraveled. Gerard stood at the window of his hospital room, testing his returning strength as he surveyed the city below. Boston's skyline stretched before him, including several buildings he had designed. His latest project, the sustainable skyscraper that would redefine the city's architectural landscape, was already under construction. He could see the skeleton of its framework rising in the distance. The door opened behind him, and he heard the familiar click of April's heels on the floor. He didn't turn immediately, using the window's reflection to observe her. She carried a thermal cup, steam rising from its contents. "You shouldn't be up yet," April chided, setting the coffee on the bedside table. "The doctor said you need rest." Gerard turned, measuring his movements to appear slightly unsteady. "I've been resting for 2 months. Besides, I needed to check on the Richardson Tower's progress." He gestured toward the construction site. April's hands found his arm, guiding him back to the bed with gentle insistence. "The project can wait. Your health comes first." She pressed the coffee cup into his hands. "Here, I brought your favorite blend with my special supplement. It'll help rebuild your strength." Gerard lifted the cup to his face, inhaling the aroma while watching April over its rim. The coffee smelled normal, but he knew better now. "You always take such good care of me," he said, pretending to take a sip. "Someone has to," April replied, adjusting his pillows. "You'd work yourself to death otherwise." The irony of her statement wasn't lost on him. While she fussed with his bedding, Gerard carefully emptied some of the coffee into the plant beside his bed when she wasn't looking. He'd been doing this for days, maintaining the illusion of drinking her poison brew while actually disposing of it. "Speaking of work," April continued, "Justin asked about you. He's been concerned." Gerard's hand tightened fractionally around the cup. "That's thoughtful of him. How are things at the lab?" "Busy. We're making breakthrough progress on our research." April's eyes lit up with genuine enthusiasm. "The potential applications are extraordinary. We're developing compounds that could revolutionize treatment protocols." "Compounds that can't be traced?" Gerard asked innocently, watching her reaction. April's smile didn't waver, but something flickered in her eyes. "Among other properties, the goal is to create treatments that work with the body's natural processes." "Like organ failure?" The question came out casual, curious. "In a way." April checked her watch. "I should get back to the lab. Will you be okay?" Gerard nodded, raising the coffee cup slightly. "Thanks to your special blend." After she left, Gerard pulled out his phone and typed a quick message to Israel Gilmore. "Need access to their research files. Full encryption breakdown." The response came quickly. "Working on it. Their security is sophisticated. Give me 48 hours." Gerard deleted the exchange and settled back, his mind working through the puzzle pieces. April's research facility had an impeccable reputation. Their official projects were legitimately groundbreaking. The perfect cover for something more sinister. A knock at the door preceded the entrance of Jackie Cherry, the private investigator Dwayne had hired. She was dressed as a nurse, her observant eyes taking in every detail of the room. "Mr. Walker," she said for the benefit of anyone who might overhear, "time to check your vitals." Once the door was closed, Jackie's professional demeanor shifted. "We've been monitoring Dr. Klein's lab. After hours, there's significant activity in a secured section that doesn't appear in any official blueprints." Gerard's expression hardened. "Show me." Jackie pulled out a tablet, displaying surveillance photos. "The security is heavy, but we managed to get thermal imaging. The power consumption doesn't match their reported research activities. They're running a second lab," Gerard concluded, studying the images. "What about their shipping manifests?" "Multiple irregularities. Materials coming in through various shell companies. Nothing technically illegal, but when you put the pieces together." She swiped through several documents. "They're acquiring everything needed for sophisticated poison development." Gerard's jaw tightened as he remembered April's daily visits during his coma, her detailed discussions with his doctors. She was documenting everything. "My symptoms, organ failure patterns, response to treatments. I was her test subject." "Not just you," Jackie revealed, pulling up another file. We've identified similar cases across the country. Wealthy individuals, seemingly natural deaths, significant estate transfers. In each case, a substantial portion of the inheritance was donated to research foundations. Foundations controlled by Justin Klein. Gerard finished, the pattern becoming clear. Jackie nodded. They're using the foundations to launder the money. The donations look legitimate on paper, but the funds are being channeled through a complex network of accounts. Gerard absorbed this information, his anger crystallizing into cold determination. What about Sophie? Have you confirmed her location? The boarding school is secure, but we have eyes on her. She's safe for now, but... Jackie hesitated. But what? The school's headmistress, Priscilla Mayer. She has connections to your wife's past research. They worked together at a private facility before it was shut down under suspicious circumstances. Gerard's expression darkened. Sophie's not just away at school. She's being held to ensure April's control over the situation. It appears so, but your daughter's smart. She's managed to document everything she witnessed before being sent away. Dwayne has the evidence secured. Gerard stood, moving to the window again. His reflection showed a man whose perfect life had been built on lies, whose trusted partner had turned their marriage into a cover for murder. But beneath the surface of the betrayed husband was something harder, more dangerous. A man who would stop at nothing to protect his daughter and destroy those who had betrayed him. Jackie, he said, his voice carrying an edge of steel, I need everything. Connection, transaction, person involved in this operation. No detail is too small. Already on it. But Mr. Walker. She paused until he turned to face her. These people, they've killed before. They won't hesitate to tie up loose ends. Gerard's smile held no warmth. Good. Let them try. They think I'm weak and vulnerable. They don't realize they've given me everything I need to destroy them. What's our next move? Continue monitoring the lab. I want to know everyone who goes in or out. And get me detailed blueprints of that secret section. Gerard's mind was already formulating plans, analyzing angles of attack. They think they're hunting me. Time to show them what it feels like to be the prey. Jackie nodded and slipped out of the room, resuming her nurse disguise. Gerard returned to his bed, maintaining the appearance of a recovering patient. But his mind was racing, processing everything he'd learned. April and Justin had built an elaborate operation, using their medical research as cover for developing designer poisons. They'd turned murder into a business, targeting wealthy individuals and profiting from their deaths. And they'd chosen him as their test subject, confident that his trust in April would blind him to the truth. Gerard picked up the coffee cup April had brought, still half full of her poison brew. He'd have it analyzed, adding to the evidence being gathered. Cup she brought, sweet lies she told, was another nail in her coffin. His phone buzzed with a message from Dwayne. Israel's made progress. You need to see what's in those encrypted files. Gerard deleted the message and leaned back, closed his eyes, and allowed himself a small, grim smile. Soon he would be strong enough to leave the hospital. Soon he would begin dismantling the life April had built, piece by piece, just as methodically as she had tried to destroy his. Let her think she still had control. Let her continue believing her plan was working. The time for revelation would come, and when it did, he would show no mercy. Chapter 3. The Brothers' Investigation. Dwayne Vance moved through his home office, spreading surveillance photos and documents across his desk. Years of military intelligence work had honed his instincts, and those instincts had screamed danger the moment Gerard fell ill. Now, 2 months later, his investigation had uncovered a web of deceit that made his blood run cold. The private investigator, Jackie Cherry, sat across from him, her own notes organized in meticulous files. The connection between April Anderson and Justin Klein goes back further than their current research, she reported, sliding over a photograph. They worked together on classified projects for a private pharmaceutical company 15 years ago. Dwayne studied the old photograph showing a younger April and Justin at a research facility. What happened to the company? Officially, bankruptcy after failed drug trials. Jackie's expression hardened. Unofficially, 3 board members died under suspicious circumstances. Natural causes, according to death certificates. Their first victims, Dwayne concluded, adding the photo to his evidence wall. What about the video from Sophie? Jackie pulled out her laptop, bringing up a file. Your niece was smart. She used her phone to record this the day before April sent her away. Watch. The video showed April in her home office, the camera slightly shaky from Sophie's hidden position. April stood at her desk, carefully measuring liquid from a small vial into Gerard's distinctive coffee mug. She consulted a notebook as she worked, making notes about measurements and timing. I had the video enhanced, Jackie said, freezing on a frame showing April's notebook. Look at the margin notes. Dwayne leaned in, jaw tightening as he read the clinical observations. Subject showing increased liver dysfunction. Compound A173 working as designed. Symptoms manifesting within expected parameters. She was documenting everything, Dwayne growled. Using my brother as a lab rat. There's more. Jackie pulled up another file. Sophie managed to photograph several pages from that notebook before April caught her in the office. The formulas, the observations, it's all here. April was testing different compounds, adjusting doses based on Gerard's reactions. Dwayne's military training kept his rage controlled, focused. What about Justin's involvement? He supplied the compounds. Jackie produced building schematics. Their research facility has a secondary lab, hidden behind legitimate operations. We've tracked unauthorized deliveries, unusual power consumption patterns, and irregular waste disposal. How many others are involved? We've identified at least 5 key players besides April and Justin. Jackie laid out photographs. Dr. Priscilla Mayer runs the boarding school where Sophie's being held. She's their containment specialist. Keeps potential witnesses isolated and controlled. Dwayne added the photo to his wall. The school's not just for education. No. We've identified 3 other students whose parents died under suspicious circumstances. In each case, substantial inheritances were involved, with large portions donated to research foundations controlled by Justin Klein. A knock at the door interrupted them. Israel Gilmore, Gerard's head of cybersecurity, entered with a laptop under his arm. You need to see this, he said without preamble. I cracked April's encryption. The 3 gathered around as Israel pulled up files. They've developed a sophisticated operation, he explained, scrolling through documents. April and Justin identified targets, wealthy individuals with health conditions that could mask poison symptoms. They established connections, sometimes taking months to position themselves. How many victims? Dwayne demanded. I've confirmed 30 cases over the past decade. Combined inheritance money. Israel's fingers flew over the keyboard. Over $400 million, all funneled through their foundation network. Dwayne's expression darkened. And Gerard was their latest experiment. Their most ambitious yet, Israel confirmed. They needed to prove their new compound was completely untraceable. Gerard's position, his family history of heart problems. He was their perfect test subject. Does the FBI have this? Jackie asked. Agent Blackwell is building the case, Dwayne confirmed. But we need more. Concrete evidence linking them directly to the murders. Israel nodded toward his laptop. These files help, but we need proof of the actual poison production. The hidden lab is heavily secured, Jackie finished. But every security system has weaknesses. Give me time to find them. Dwayne turned to his evidence wall, studying the interconnected web of photos and documents. His brother lay in a hospital bed, betrayed by the woman he trusted, while his niece remained effectively hostage in a foreign country. The rage he felt was tempered by years of tactical training, channeled into strategic planning. Gerard's playing along, he said, facing his colleagues, letting April think she's still in control. We need to use that. Monitor interaction, phone call, email. I want to know everyone she contacts. What about Sophie? Israel asked. Keep our surveillance on the school discreet. Sophie's smart. She knows to be careful. April can't suspect we have any contact with her. Jackie gathered her files. I'll focus on the lab. If we can access their production facility. No one moves without authorization, Dwayne cut in. These people are killers. Professional, methodical, and well-connected. We gather evidence, build our case, and when we move... His expression hardened. We take them all down at once. The three worked late into the night, piecing together evidence, tracking connections, and building a case that would destroy not just April and Justin, but their entire network. Dwayne knew his brother's reputation as a shrewd businessman, had seen his ruthless efficiency in the corporate world. But April's betrayal had awakened something darker, more dangerous. When Gerard was strong enough to leave the hospital, he would want more than justice. He would want complete destruction of everyone involved in the conspiracy. Dwayne's job was to ensure all the pieces were in place for that revenge. His phone buzzed with a message from Gerard. April brought more coffee today. Same routine. How close are we? Dwayne typed back, evidence mounting. Israel cracked her files. Full operation details coming soon. Stay patient. Deleting the exchange, Dwayne returned to his evidence wall. April Anderson had made a fatal mistake in targeting his brother. She thought she was dealing with a trusting, unsuspecting victim. Instead, she had created an implacable enemy who would stop at nothing to destroy her. The perfect life she had crafted so carefully was about to unravel, thread by thread, until nothing remained but the truth of her crimes. And when it did, she would learn that the man she tried to murder had emerged stronger, more dangerous, and completely devoid of mercy. Dwayne allowed himself a grim smile as he added another surveillance photo to his wall. Let April play her games for now. The trap was being set, and when it closed, there would be no escape for any of them. Chapter 4. Playing Dead. The hospital discharge papers lay signed on Dr. Reed's desk as Gerard adjusted his suit jacket. 2 months in a hospital bed had left their mark, but he'd maintained his imposing physique through sheer determination and secret exercise sessions when April wasn't visiting. Remember, Mr. Walker, Dr. Reed cautioned. Your recovery is remarkable, but you'll need to take things slowly. Gerard nodded, his expression carefully crafted to show appropriate gratitude and weakness. Of course, doctor. My wife will make sure of that. April stood beside him, one hand resting possessively on his arm. I'll keep him on a strict regimen, she assured the doctor, including his supplements. The drive home passed in calculated conversation, with Gerard playing his role perfectly. He complained of fatigue at the right moments, asked about Sophie with just the right mix of longing and acceptance, and leaned into April's supportive touches with practiced ease. Inside their Victorian mansion, April guided him to his study. I've kept everything exactly as you left it, she said, gesturing to his desk where architectural plans lay spread out. Though you shouldn't worry about work yet. Gerard sank into his leather chair, noting how April positioned herself to observe his movements. Just want to check on the Richardson Towers progress, he said, shuffling through the blueprints. The team must need direction by now. They can wait, April insisted, already preparing his coffee at the small bar cart she'd added to his study. You need to focus on recovering your strength. Gerard watched her measure the supplement into his coffee with the same she'd used to poison him. The aroma of expensive Brazilian beans couldn't mask the faint chemical undertone he now recognized. You're too good to me, he murmured as she placed the cup before him. He lifted it to his lips, pretending to sip while she watched. The coffee warmer built into his desk would maintain the liquid's temperature, making it appear gradually consumed throughout the day. Once April left for her lab, Gerard activated the security system Israel had secretly installed during his hospital stay. Multiple screens emerged from behind a bookshelf, showing surveillance feeds from April's lab, their home, and various other locations. Status report, he demanded into his encrypted phone. Israel's voice came through clearly. We've breached their first layer of security. April's personal files are heavily encrypted, but I've identified patterns in their network traffic. They're running a separate system for their shadow operation. Time frame? Give me 48 hours to map their complete digital infrastructure. Jackie's surveillance shows regular after-hours deliveries to the lab's loading dock. We're tracking the suppliers. Gerard's fingers drummed against his desk. What about the money trail? Complex, Israel admitted. They're using a network of shell companies and research foundations. Dwayne's contact at the FBI is helping us trace the connections, but it's all carefully laundered. Find me proof, Gerard ordered. Every transaction, every transfer. I want to know exactly how much they've stolen from their victims. The call ended as Gerard heard April's heels clicking down the hallway. By the time she entered, the screens were hidden and he appeared to be dozing in his chair, the coffee cup half empty beside him. "Darling, you should rest upstairs," April suggested, her hand brushing his shoulder. "You've been pushing yourself too hard." Gerard allowed her to help him up, noting how she checked his pulse with a casual touch. "You're right as always," he conceded. "Though I hate feeling so useless." "You just need time," April soothed. "Everything will be back to normal soon." The double meaning in her words might have gone unnoticed before. Now, Gerard recognized the subtle threat beneath her caring facade. She was still planning to finish what she'd started, confident in her ability to maintain control. That night, after ensuring April was asleep, Gerard slipped into his private office in the basement. The space, officially his architecture studio, had been modified with Israel's help to serve as their command center. Dwayne was waiting, surrounded by monitors displaying surveillance feeds. "She's getting impatient," he reported without preamble. 3 calls to Justin today, all from burner phones. "They're planning something." Gerard studied the surveillance photos spread across his desk. "Show me what you found." Jackie infiltrated their cleaning staff. Dwayne pulled up images from inside the lab. "They've increased production in their hidden facility. Whatever they're cooking up, it's bigger than before. They need to prove the poison works," Gerard concluded. "I was their test case, but they need more data before expanding their operation." "There's something else." Dwayne hesitated. "We intercepted communications between April and Priscilla Mayer. They're using the boarding school to gather intelligence on potential targets through the students." Gerard's expression hardened. "Sophie, she's safe," Dwayne assured him. "But she's not just a witness anymore. They're trying to use her to identify other wealthy families with the right vulnerabilities." The rage that surged through Gerard was cold, calculating. "Israel," he commanded through the secure line, "I want everything on Priscilla Mayer. Connection, secret, weakness." "Already compiling the data," Israel responded. "But there's a complication. The school's security is extensive. Getting Sophie out wouldn't be simple." "We're not getting her out yet," Gerard stated, his voice steel. "She's our eyes inside their operation. My daughter is stronger than they realize." Dwayne watched his brother carefully. "Gerard, using Sophie as an asset is risky." "She's already an asset," Gerard countered. "April ensured that by sending her there. Now we use their mistake against them." He pointed to the surveillance feeds. "Keep monitoring the lab. I want to know every compound they're developing, every test they're running." The next few days fell into a careful routine. Gerard played the recovering husband perfectly, accepting April's poison coffee while secretly documenting every attempt. He complained of lingering weakness while steadily rebuilding his strength. Each moment of pretended vulnerability was another piece of evidence being gathered. Israel's voice came through his earpiece during a private moment. "Boss, we've cracked their secondary encryption. You need to see this." Later, in a secure office, Gerard reviewed the decoded files. April and Justin's operation was more extensive than they'd imagined. Detailed dossiers on potential targets, chemical formulas designed to mimic natural causes, financial projections for their inheritance acquisitions, all meticulously documented. "Your wife's thorough," Israel commented through the video link. "Every death was planned months in advance. Dosages calculated to the milliliter, symptoms documented like case studies." "She always was detail-oriented," Gerard replied, his tone arctic. "That's how we'll destroy them. Their own records will prove their crimes." A message notification flashed on his screen, a heavily encrypted communication from Sophie, routed through channels April couldn't trace. His daughter had adapted to her role with remarkable skill, gathering intelligence while maintaining her cover as a troubled teen sent away to school. "Mother's colleague visited today," Sophie's message read. Dr. Klein spoke with Headmistress Mayer for hours. "They're planning something big. More students arriving next week. All from wealthy families with complex medical histories." Gerard's response was careful, protecting their cover while conveying his pride in her strength. "Stay observant. Document everything. Uncle D's watching over you." A soft knock at his study door preceded April's entrance. Gerard smoothly switched his screens to architectural drawings as she approached with another coffee cup. "You're looking stronger," she observed, studying his movements. "The supplements must be working." Gerard accepted the cup, meeting her gaze steadily. "Thanks to your expert care," he replied, raising the cup in a small salute before pretending to drink. April's smile held genuine affection, making her betrayal even more profound. She truly believed in their work, saw their murders as some sort of scientific advancement. Her dedication would make her downfall even more complete. Later that night, Dwayne reported increased activity at Justin's private lab. "They're accelerating production," he warned. "Multiple shipments going out to new addresses." Gerard studied the shipping manifest Jackie had intercepted. "They're expanding the operation," he concluded, "using my recovery as proof their method works." "We should move on them now," Dwayne argued. "We have enough evidence." "Not yet." Gerard's voice was adamant. "We need to identify a member of their network. Client, accomplice, every beneficiary. When we strike, no one escapes." The screens surrounding him displayed the growing web of conspiracy. Financial records, surveillance photos, intercepted communications. April and Justin had spent years building their operation, using their medical research as cover for calculated murder. "Keep watching," Gerard ordered. "Monitor transaction, phone call, meeting. I want to know their next target before they do." He turned to the chemical analysis of April's latest supplement, comparing it to the previous samples. She was adjusting the formula, refining it based on his supposed symptoms. Each cup of coffee was another attempt to perfect her poison, unaware that her meticulousness was building the case against her. Gerard allowed himself a cold smile as he reviewed their progress. Let April think she was maintaining control. Let her believe her husband remained ignorant of her true nature. Her confidence would be her undoing, and when the trap finally closed, her own detailed records would ensure her destruction. The game of deception continued, each move carefully calculated. Gerard played his role, while beneath the surface, he orchestrated their downfall with the same ruthless efficiency that had made him a titan of industry. April had chosen him as a test subject, believing his trust made him weak. Soon she would learn that she had created something far more dangerous, a man who had transformed betrayal into a weapon, and who would show no mercy when the time for revelation finally came. Chapter 5. The Daughter's Role. Sophie Anderson sat at her desk in the Swiss boarding school, her tablet propped carefully to hide her true activities from casual observation. The device, provided by her uncle Dwayne through secure channels, appeared to display homework, but actually ran sophisticated monitoring software. "New arrival today," she typed into an encrypted messaging app. "Amanda Chun, age 14. Father owns biotech companies in Singapore." The response from her father came quickly. Background: father diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's. Mother deceased. Headmistress Mayer personally handled her enrollment. Sophie maintained her cover as the troubled teenager, playing her role with an intelligence that would have made her father proud. During classes, she appeared distracted and emotionally distant, exactly what everyone expected from a girl suddenly sent abroad by her family. But her mind never stopped working. Conversation was documented, visitor noted, pattern analyzed. She'd inherited her father's architectural eye for detail and her mother's scientific precision, though the latter now felt like a bitter irony. Through her window, Sophie observed Priscilla Mayer giving Justin Klein a tour of the grounds. Her camera, disguised as a normal phone, captured their interaction. "Dr. Klein's third visit this month," she reported. "They're reviewing student files in Meyer's office." "Stay clear of them," Gerard warned. "Maintain distance." But Sophie had already developed her own network within the school. "Clara Wilson's father died last week," she typed. "Official cause: heart failure." The same pattern as others. Before being sent away, Sophie had photographed dozens of pages from her mother's notebooks. The chemical formulas had meant nothing to her then, but she'd recognized the danger in her mother's methodical documentation of Gerard's declining health. Now, those same observation skills served a different purpose. Every new student's arrival was a potential victim's child. Every parent's medical condition a possible target for April and Justin's operation. The school itself was a masterpiece of containment. Nestled in the Alps, Its isolation was disguised as exclusive privacy. Security measures masked as protection for wealthy students actually served to control potential witnesses. Even communication was monitored, with one crucial exception: the channel Sophie's father had established. Amanda's father is visiting next week, Sophie reported. Headmistress Mayer arranged a private dinner. Guest list? Gerard asked. Dr. Klein will attend. Mother sent her regrets. Sophie's fingers hesitated over the keys. They're planning something. I overheard Mayer discussing medical histories with the school nurse. In her private moments, Sophie allowed herself to feel the weight of her role. She was 13, carrying knowledge of her mother's murders while gathering intelligence on an international criminal operation. But Gerard had taught her the importance of strength under pressure, and she refused to break. The other students saw only the quiet girl who kept to herself, who excelled in chemistry and mathematics. Teachers noted her tendency to work alone, attributing it to emotional adjustment. None suspected she was building detailed profiles of the school's true purpose. Sarah Mitchell's mother made a large donation to Justin's research foundation, Sophie typed one evening. Same amount as the others. 15% of total estate value. Document everything, Gerard instructed. Connection, pattern. Sophie had created a complex database, correlating student arrivals with parent deaths and financial transfers. The evidence was damning. A clear pattern of targeted murders masked as natural deaths, with the children held as unwitting hostages to prevent any investigation. During mandatory counseling sessions, Sophie played her part perfectly. She expressed appropriate anger about being sent away, normal teenage rebellion that the counselors eagerly attributed to family stress. All while her tablet recorded every session, building profiles of the staff involved in the operation. New security protocol, she reported after one particularly tense day. They're restricting student communication more heavily. Weekly phone calls now monitored by staff. They're getting nervous, Gerard replied. Keep using our secure channel. Uncle Dwayne has eyes on the school. Sophie had spotted the surveillance teams, disguised as maintenance workers and local tourists. Her uncle's was evident in their positioning. It provided comfort, knowing she wasn't truly isolated. The hardest moments came during video calls with April. Sophie maintained the facade of a resentful but gradually adjusting daughter, while her mother spoke of returning home once Gerard had fully recovered. Your father's doing so much better, April would say, her smile holding secrets Sophie now understood. Soon everything will be back to normal. After each call, Sophie added to her documentation. Word, gesture, subtle threat disguised as maternal concern, all became evidence for the case they were building. Her laptop contained multiple hidden partitions, each holding different aspects of the investigation. One stored financial records she'd gathered from the school's administration office during her volunteer work. Another held profiles of students and their families, tracking the pattern of inheritance and donations. Myers planning a parent weekend, Sophie reported. Multiple families invited, all matching the profile. Wealthy, complex medical histories, no close relatives. Additional security? Gerard asked. Heavy. They're claiming it's for student safety, but the new guards are focused on monitoring parent-student interactions. Sophie had mapped camera, security patrol route, potential escape route, though she knew better than to attempt one. Her role was to gather intelligence, to be her father's eyes inside the operation that had nearly killed him. The other students were carefully chosen, all from wealthy families, all with parents who matched April and Justin's victim profile. Sophie watched as new arrivals followed the same pattern. Sudden enrollment after suspicious family circumstances, monitored communication, and eventual integration into the school's controlled environment. They're expanding, she typed one night. 3 new students this week. Myers renovating the East Wing for more capacity. Numbers? Gerard's response was immediate. Current student body, 28. All match the profile. New wing will accommodate 12 more. Sophie's intelligence proved invaluable as Gerard and Dwayne built their case. Her documentation provided patterns that might have gone unnoticed from the outside. Each piece of evidence she gathered brought them closer to exposing the entire operation. But Sophie knew the stakes involved. One mistake, one slip in her cover, and everything would unravel. So she maintained her role, gathering intelligence while appearing to be exactly what they expected, a troubled teenager sent away by her family. Chapter 6. The Trap is Set. The elegant dining room of the Walker Mansion reflected April's immaculate taste, crystal glasses catching light from the chandelier as guests arrived for dinner. Gerard played the perfect host, his recovered strength barely hinted at as he greeted each arrival with calculated warmth. April had arranged everything with her usual precision, from the seating arrangement to the wine pairings. Each guest was carefully chosen, wealthy individuals with complex medical histories, all potential targets for their operation. Harrison, Gerard greeted the investment banker with a firm handshake, noting the slight tremor in the other man's hand. Early Parkinson's, just like Sophie had reported about Amanda Chen's father. Glad you could join us? April circulated among their guests, her role as hostess masking her true purpose. Gerard watched her subtle observations, the way she noted each guest's physical condition, their eating habits, their medications mentioned in casual conversation. Through his hidden earpiece, Israel provided constant updates. Surveillance confirms Justin arrived at the lab an hour ago. He's preparing new compounds. Gerard guided conversations with practiced ease, gathering intelligence while appearing to discuss business and social matters. Each guest revealed vulnerabilities without realizing it, sharing medical concerns and financial details that April and Justin would use to plan their next moves. The Richardson Tower project is proceeding ahead of schedule, Gerard announced over dinner, using shop talk as cover while studying his guests' reactions. Though my recent illness has given me new perspective on work-life balance. We were all so worried, Margaret Whitman said, her own hands shaking slightly as she reached for her wine. Another potential target, recently diagnosed with a neurological condition. April was a pillar of strength through it all. April squeezed Gerard's hand, the gesture seeming loving to their guests, but carrying dark undertones he now recognized. We have to treasure every moment, she said, her words heavy with hidden meaning. In his study after dinner, Gerard reviewed the evening's intelligence with his team. 3 new targets identified, he reported to Dwayne through their secure channel, all matching their victim profile. Jackie's surveillance shows increased activity at Justin's lab, Dwayne responded. They're preparing for multiple operations. The evidence mounted with each passing day. Financial records, surveillance footage, intercepted communications, all pointing to an expansion of their poisoning operation. April and Justin grew more confident, believing Gerard's apparent ignorance gave them freedom to move forward. Israel's cybersecurity team tracked every digital footprint. They're establishing new shell companies, he reported, setting up foundations to handle larger inheritance transfers. Gerard maintained his performance flawlessly, accepting April's poisoned coffee each morning while gathering proof of her attempts. Each cup was analyzed, the compounds documented, building an irrefutable case against her and her entire network. The trap was nearly ready. Every player was in position, every piece of evidence carefully gathered and verified. Gerard's apparent vulnerability had drawn them into expanding their operation, making them vulnerable to exposure. FBI agent Bobby Blackwell sat across from Gerard in his secure basement office, her sharp eyes taking in the wall of evidence they'd accumulated. Her reputation for dismantling complex criminal enterprises had made her Dwayne's first choice for the investigation. Your brother's surveillance operation is impressive, she noted, reviewing the financial records. But we need concrete proof linking the deaths to the poison production. Gerard pulled up the chemical analysis of April's latest attempt. Each cup of coffee she gives me is documented and analyzed. The compounds match the traces found in previous victims' toxicology reports, the ones that were initially missed. Circumstantial, Blackwell countered. We need production records, shipping manifests, direct evidence of their involvement in the deaths. Sophie's intelligence from the school gives us their victim selection process, Gerard argued. The pattern is clear: wealthy targets, complex medical histories, children sent to Myers School as insurance. Blackwell's expression remained professionally neutral. Building a RICO case takes time. One mistake, and they could slip through the cracks. We need everything documented, every connection verified. Time isn't on our side, Gerard pressed. They're expanding their operation. More targets being identified every week, which is exactly why we can't move too soon. Blackwell's tone was firm. Your wife and Klein have powerful connections. When we take them down, it has to be airtight. No escape routes, no legal loopholes. Gerard understood the logic, even as it tested his patience. What do you need? Keep playing your role. Let them think they're in control. Blackwell gathered her notes. Cup of coffee, dinner party conversation, financial transaction, document everything. Build the pattern that connects them directly to each death. Through it all, Gerard maintained his performance, though beneath his cultivated facade burned a cold rage that would accept nothing less than complete destruction of everyone involved in the conspiracy. With Blackwell's help, they would build a case that would ensure April and her entire network faced justice for their crimes. The operation continued, each piece of evidence bringing them closer to their goal. April and Justin believed they were hunting wealthy prey, unaware that every move they made was being documented, every action building the case that would lead to their downfall. Chapter 7: The Counterstrike. Gerard stood at the podium of Boston's Architectural Society, his presence commanding attention as he announced his official return to work. Reporters filled the room. Cameras focused on the prominent architect who had mysteriously fallen ill and made a miraculous recovery. The Richardson Tower project continues on schedule, he declared, his voice strong despite the slight tremor he carefully allowed to show in his hand. My team has maintained our excellence during my absence. In the audience, April watched with professional concern, noting every subtle sign of weakness her husband displayed. Justin sat beside her, their expressions perfectly masked as Gerard detailed his ongoing recovery and apparent determination to push through lingering health issues. The press conference had been meticulously planned. Each symptom Gerard displayed was calculated to suggest his liver was failing, a common target of April's poisons. His medical records, carefully altered with help from Dr. Reed, showed elevated enzyme levels that would attract April's scientific interest. Back in his office, Gerard reviewed the operation's final preparations with Agent Blackwell. April took the bait, he reported. She's already contacted Justin about adjusting the formula. Blackwell nodded, her laptop displaying surveillance feeds from multiple locations. We're monitoring their lab activity. Dr. Butler's team is ready with the modified compounds. Dr. Juana Butler, a brilliant chemist who had once rejected Justin's attempts to recruit her, had developed traceable variants of April's poisons. These compounds would appear identical to their original formulas, but would leave unmistakable evidence of deliberate poisoning. Exchange is scheduled for tonight, Israel reported through the secure line. Jackie's team tracked their supplier to a warehouse in South Boston. Gerard's expression remained stone cold as he reviewed the tactical plan. Everything gets replaced. I want their entire supply compromised. The operation proceeded. While April attended a research conference, FBI teams under Blackwell's command moved into position around Justin's private lab. Dr. Butler's team, disguised as maintenance workers, accessed the facility through routes Gerard had identified using his architectural expertise. Target areas located. Came the report through Gerard's earpiece. Proceeding with replacement. Vial, sample, batch of April's carefully crafted poisons was systematically exchanged for Butler's traceable variants. The substitution would be undetectable until the moment they chose to reveal it. Secondary teams in position at all storage locations, Dwayne confirmed. No chance of them accessing clean samples. Gerard monitored the operation from his command center, surrounded by screens showing various surveillance feeds. He had transformed his architectural eye for detail into a weapon, using his understanding of building systems to ensure every aspect of April and Justin's operation was compromised. Sophie reports increased activity at the school, Israel added. Myers scheduling more parent visits. They're accelerating their timeline, Gerard concluded. How many potential targets? 5 families identified in the last week alone, all matching their victim profile. Gerard's jaw tightened. Time to force their hand. The next phase began immediately. Gerard started displaying more pronounced symptoms, ensuring April noticed his deteriorating condition. His hands shook when lifting his coffee cup. His breathing became labored during board meetings, and medical tests showed his liver function declining rapidly. April's response was exactly as predicted. She increased the frequency of her supplements, believing Gerard's compromised liver would accelerate the poison's effects. Each attempt was documented, analyzed, and added to the growing mountain of evidence. Lab activity confirms they're producing new batches, Blackwell reported during their secure meeting, all using our modified compounds. What about the foundation? Gerard demanded. Financial teams have traced every donation back to victim families. The money trail is complete. Blackwell's satisfaction was evident. When we move, their entire network collapses. Dr. Butler arrived with her latest analysis. The compounds they're using now are perfect matches for deaths going back 10 years. We can prove the connection in every case. Gerard studied the chemical profiles. They're getting confident. Increasing dosages. They think you're weakened, Butler explained. The liver damage makes you appear more vulnerable to the toxins. The trap was nearly ready. Every piece had been positioned with the same ruthless precision April had once used to plan his death. But where she had seen his trust as weakness, Gerard had transformed it into a weapon, using her own confidence against her. Final preparations are complete, Duane reported. Team standing by in Switzerland for coordinated raids. Gerard checked his watch. April's bringing my evening coffee in 10 minutes. The one she thinks will finish what she started. Blackwell's team moved into final positions, hidden throughout the mansion. Every room was under surveillance, every exit covered. They would document April's last attempt at murder before taking down the entire operation. Remember, Gerard instructed, we take them all. Conspirator, accomplice, beneficiary of their murders. The scheme April and Justin had built so carefully was about to crumble. Gerard allowed himself a cold smile as he waited in his study, knowing that justice would not come through mercy, but through the complete and systematic destruction of everyone who had betrayed him. Chapter 8. The Fall. April's heels clicked against the floor as she approached Gerard's study, carrying the coffee cup that would supposedly end her husband's life. She had no way of knowing that FBI agents were hidden throughout the house, that cameras documented her every move, that the poison she carried had been replaced with Dr. Butler's traceable compound. You're working too hard, she said, setting the cup beside him. Her tone carried genuine concern, making her betrayal even more profound. The doctors said to take it easy. Gerard lifted the cup with trembling hands, a performance he had perfected over months of deception. Just need to finish these plans, he mumbled, his voice weak but determined. April watched him drink, her scientific mind calculating dosages and reaction times. The moment she had been working toward for months was finally here. Yet she failed to notice the subtle signals being exchanged through Gerard's hidden earpiece. Throughout the city, FBI teams moved into position. Agent Blackwell coordinated from a mobile command center, ensuring every target was covered. Justin's lab, their storage facilities, the Foundation offices. Nothing would escape the net they had constructed. In Switzerland, local authorities prepared to raid Priscilla Meyer's boarding school. Sophie had provided detailed information about security systems and patrol patterns, ensuring the children would be protected during the operation. April checked her watch, exactly as Gerard knew she would. Her scientific precision had become predictable, a weakness he had exploited throughout his recovery. I should get back to the lab, she said, moving toward the door. Call me if you need anything. Gerard's hand shook as he set down the coffee cup, but his voice was steady. Actually, April, there's something we need to discuss. She turned back, concern crossing her features. What is it? Your research with Justin, Gerard said, watching her expression carefully. The special supplements you've been giving me. April's composure wavered for just a moment before her professional mask slipped back into place. I don't understand. Gerard stood, his weakness falling away like a discarded coat. I think you do. The same supplements you gave Harrison Chun before his convenient heart attack. The ones Margaret Whitman's husband took before his stroke. You're not well? April started, but Gerard cut her off. Drop the act, April. We have everything. The lab records, the financial transfers, Sophie's video, all of it. FBI agents emerged from their hiding places as April's hand moved toward her pocket. I wouldn't, Blackwell warned, her weapon trained steadily. Hands where we can see them. April's mask finally cracked, revealing the cold calculation beneath. "You have no idea what you're interrupting," she snarled. "The research, the advancements we've made." "Save it for your interrogation," Gerard interrupted. His voice carried no emotion, no hint of their years together. "You saw trust as weakness. That was your mistake." Simultaneous raids hit across the city. Justin was arrested in his private lab, surrounded by evidence of their poison production. Foundation offices were seized, computers confiscated, records secured. Every piece of their careful operation collapsed like a house of cards. In Switzerland, Priscilla Meyer's arrest was equally well-coordinated. Sophie watched from her dormitory window as authorities led the headmistress away in handcuffs, her mask of educational concern shattered. Target facilities secured, Duane reported through Gerard's earpiece. No escapes, no evidence destroyed. April stood rigid as agents cuffed her, her scientific mind probably already calculating options, searching for escape routes. But Gerard had planned too carefully, had sealed every possible gap in their case. "You turned our marriage into an experiment," he said, watching her processing everything she had lost. "Used our life together as cover for murder. Sent our daughter away to silence her." "It was necessary," April replied, her voice clinical even now. "You were the perfect subject, trusted completely, documented thoroughly. Your death would have proven our method's effectiveness." Gerard's expression hardened further. "Instead, you proved something else. That trust, properly placed, is more powerful than betrayal." Evidence teams swarmed the house, documenting the final attempted poisoning. Dr. Butler arrived to collect samples. Her analysis would prove the connection between April's compounds and dozens of suspicious deaths. "We found their complete records," Blackwell reported. "Victim, poison variant financial transfer. 30 confirmed murders over 10 years. April's composure cracked further as she realized the extent of their investigation. "How long have you known?" "Since I woke up," Gerard replied coldly. "You were so focused on documenting my symptoms that you never noticed I was documenting you." The scope of the operation became clear as reports flooded in. Shell companies exposed, offshore accounts frozen, conspirators arrested across 3 continents. The organization April and Justin had built so carefully was being dismantled piece by piece. "Sophie's testimony alone would have convicted you," Gerard continued, watching April's reaction to their daughter's name. "The video she recorded, the documents she copied. She saw through your facade before anyone else." April's mask finally shattered completely. She was supposed to be contained. "Priscilla assured me that she'd keep our daughter silent." Gerard's voice could have frozen flame. "Sophie is stronger than you ever realized. She helped bring down your entire operation while you thought she was safely locked away." Blackwell stepped forward with additional charges. "We're adding attempted murder, conspiracy, and RICO violations to the list. The DA is pursuing maximum sentences." Gerard watched impassively as April was led away, her perfect world collapsing around her. The woman who had shared his life, raised their daughter, and meticulously planned his death would never see freedom again. "Sir," Israel reported, "we've seized their research data. Dr. Butler's team is already analyzing the compounds. We'll be able to prove connection to every death." Chapter 9, Justice Served. The federal courthouse buzzed with tension as the verdicts were read. April, Justin, and their co-conspirators stood emotionless as the judge pronounced multiple life sentences. Each count was detailed meticulously. 30 murders, dozens of attempted murders, conspiracy, fraud, money laundering. Gerard sat in the front row, his posture rigid as justice was finally delivered. Sophie sat beside him, her testimony having provided crucial evidence that sealed the conspirators' fate. She had grown stronger through the ordeal, her inherited intelligence turned against those who had betrayed her family. In light of the heinous nature of these crimes, the judge declared, and the complete lack of remorse shown by the defendants, I am imposing consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. The evidence had been overwhelming. Dr. Butler's analysis proved the connection between April's poisons and every suspicious death. Financial records traced hundreds of millions in stolen inheritance money through their foundation network. Sophie's video and documented evidence demonstrated the calculated nature of their operation. After the sentencing, Gerard met with Agent Blackwell in his office. His architectural firm had already begun specializing in secure facilities designed to protect vulnerable individuals. The last of the schoolchildren have been placed with families, Blackwell reported. The Swiss authorities are cooperating fully in dismantling their portion of the network. Gerard nodded, reviewing plans for his latest project. And the recovered assets? Being returned to victims' families. The foundation accounts have been frozen, all properties seized. Blackwell's satisfaction was evident. They'll never profit from their crimes again. The office door opened as Sophie entered. At 14, she carried herself with newfound confidence, the experience having forged her character rather than breaking it. Ready for Dr. Ryder's appointment? Gerard asked, gathering his things. Their weekly therapy sessions had helped them process the betrayal and strengthen their bond. Sophie nodded, her expression determined. We're discussing reintegration strategies for the other children today. Some of them are still struggling. Gerard felt fierce pride in his daughter's strength. She had not only survived April's betrayal but had helped other victims heal as well. The final confrontation came during a supervised prison visit. April had requested to see him, perhaps expecting to find remorse or weakness. Instead, she faced a man who had transformed betrayal into strength. You've destroyed decades of research, April said from behind the barrier, her voice still carrying that clinical tone. Advancements that could have revolutionized medicine. You murdered innocent people, Gerard replied coldly. Used our marriage as cover for your experiments. Try to silence our daughter. Sophie was never supposed to see. But she did. Gerard cut her off. She saw who you really were. Trusted her instincts instead of your lies. He placed Sophie's documented evidence on the barrier between them. Our daughter brought down your empire, April. While you thought she was safely contained, she was gathering proof of every crime you committed. April's facade cracked one final time. You never suspected anything before. Your trust made you the perfect subject. That trust wasn't weakness, Gerard stated flatly. It became your downfall. Cup of coffee you brought, symptom you documented, move you made, we tracked it all. Your own meticulous nature provided the evidence that convicted you. He stood, looking down at the woman who had betrayed everything they had built together. Enjoy your life sentence, April. Sophie, and I will be fine without you. Gerard left the prison that day knowing that justice had been served completely. April and her conspirators would spend decades contemplating their crimes while he and Sophie moved forward, their bond stronger for having survived her betrayal. His architectural firm thrived, its new focus on secure facilities helping protect other vulnerable individuals from similar predators. Sophie's experiences helped shape these designs, her insight contributing to security features that would prevent others from suffering as she had. Together, they rebuilt their lives on a foundation of genuine trust and understanding. April had sought to destroy them, but instead had revealed their true strength. While she faced a lifetime in prison, Gerard and Sophie moved forward, their relationship stronger than ever, proof that trust placed in the right people was not weakness but the strongest power of all. Epilogue, 10 years later. The maximum security women's correctional facility in Massachusetts held its most notorious inmate in solitary confinement. April Anderson, once a renowned toxicologist, now spent her days in an 8x10 cell, her brilliant mind unable to escape the consequences of her actions. The prison guards called her the Poisoner, a title she'd earned not just from her crimes, but from 2 attempts to synthesize toxic compounds from everyday materials in the prison laboratory where she'd initially been allowed to work as part of a rehabilitation program. That privilege, like all others, had been revoked. Inmate Anderson, the guard announced, visitor. April looked up from her journal. The only activity she was still permitted, though every page was thoroughly examined. Her once perfect appearance had deteriorated. Prison life had stripped away her carefully maintained facade. Gerard Walker sat on the other side of the reinforced barrier, his presence as commanding as ever. At 55, he'd only grown more powerful. His architectural firm, Walker Security Designs, had revolutionized protective infrastructure globally. "Still writing your memoirs?" he asked, noting her journal. "Documenting my research," April replied, her voice hoarse from disuse. "They can't stop me from remembering the formulas. That's why you're in solitary," Gerard stated flatly. "3 researchers dead from trying to replicate your work using your coded notes. Did you think I wouldn't recognize what you were doing?" April's eyes narrowed. "You've destroyed decades of scientific advancement. The applications were never about advancement," Gerard cut her off. "Your partner made that clear at his execution." Justin Klein had faced the death penalty in Texas, where 3 of their victims had died. His final statement had revealed the true depth of their operation. Not medical research, but a calculated business of death for profit. "How's our daughter?" April asked, changing tactics. Gerard's expression hardened further. "Dr. Sophie Walker earned her PhD in biochemistry last year. She's revolutionizing toxin detection methods, making it impossible for people like you to poison others undetected." The mention of Sophie's achievements made April flinch. Their daughter had transformed her traumatic experience into a force for good, working with law enforcement agencies worldwide to prevent similar crimes. "She's married now," Gerard continued, knowing each detail would cut deep. "You weren't invited to the wedding, but Dwayne walked her down the aisle beside me. She's expecting her first child, a daughter she'll protect from manipulators like you." April's hands trembled slightly. "I have rights as a grandmother." "You have nothing," Gerard stated coldly. "Every appeal denied, every attempt at communication blocked. Sophie's restraining order is quite comprehensive." He placed a document on the barrier between them. "Sign it." "What is it?" "Final divorce decree. I'm getting remarried. The court required one last attempt at getting your signature, though it'll be approved either way." April stared at the paper. "Who is she?" "Dr. Juana Butler, the chemist who helped expose your operation. Sophie's mentor during her PhD." Gerard's tone carried no emotion. "She's everything you pretended to be. Brilliant, genuine, trustworthy." Miles away, in a private laboratory at Walker Securities Research Division, Dr. Sophie Walker reviewed test results with her team. Her detection system had just identified a potential poisoning attempt at a foreign embassy, preventing another tragedy. "The markers are consistent with a derivative of the Anderson-Klein compounds," her assistant noted, using the scientific name now associated with her mother's poisons. Sophie nodded, her hand resting unconsciously on her pregnant belly. "Send the data to Interpol. Agent Blackwell will want to track the source." Bobby Blackwell had turned the April Anderson case into a specialized FBI division, with Sophie as their chief scientific consultant. Together, they prevented dozens of copycat attempts inspired by April's methods becoming public during the trial. In his office overlooking Boston's skyline, Dwayne Vance coordinated security for Walker Industries' global operations. The skills that had helped expose April's network now protected thousands from similar threats. "Uncle Dwayne," Sophie's voice came through a secure line. "We got another one. Location? Singapore." Similar to the Chun case from before, Dwayne's fingers flew across his keyboard, accessing their global security network. The Richardson Tower, Gerard's revolutionary, sustainable skyscraper, now housed a state-of-the-art security center monitoring potential threats worldwide. Israel Gilmore, now Walker Industries' chief technology officer, maintained the digital infrastructure that supported their protective operations. His cybersecurity protocols had become the industry standard, inspired by the methods used to track April's network. "Singapore team is moving in," he reported to Dwayne. "Local authorities coordinating with our people." In her private practice, Dr. Anna Ryder continued helping families affected by betrayal and manipulation. The insights gained from counseling Gerard and Sophie had led to specialized therapeutic techniques for survivors of intimate betrayal. "The Anderson case fundamentally changed how we understand familial manipulation," she explained to her doctoral students. "The intersection of intellectual brilliance and moral bankruptcy created unique trauma patterns." Jackie Cherry's private investigation firm had evolved into a specialized unit working exclusively with Walker Security. Her team's expertise in medical fraud detection had prevented countless attempts to replicate April's operation. New case came in, she told her investigators. Similar markers to the Anderson methodology. Let's shut it down before anyone gets hurt. Back in the prison, April stared at the divorce papers. Her empire had crumbled. Her research was now used to prevent the very crimes she'd committed, and her daughter had transformed their family's tragedy into a force for protecting others. The papers, April, Gerard prompted coldly. She signed, her once steady hands shaking slightly. I never stopped believing in the work, she said. That's why you'll die in here, Gerard replied, standing. You still think it was about research. It was always about power and greed. Sophie understood that before anyone else. He gathered the papers, tucking them into his briefcase. This is the last time you'll see me, April. Sophie's law passed last month. Mandatory life sentences without parole for medical professionals who abuse their knowledge for murder. They're calling it the Anderson Act. April's facade cracked completely. All those years of work, decades of research, are now part of every law enforcement database worldwide, Gerard finished. Your formulas help identify killers instead of helping them murder. That's your legacy. He turned to leave, then paused. Sophie named her research center after Priscilla Meyer's victims, the children you helped in prison. Their stories train new scientists to spot and stop people like you. In Switzerland, the former boarding school had been transformed into a rehabilitation center for survivors of manipulation and abuse. The same halls that once contained witnesses now helped heal victims. Priscilla Meyer served her sentence in a different facility, her educational credentials revoked, her role in containing witness children earning her special restrictions. Like April, she was forbidden contact with minors, a punishment that recognized the particular cruelty of using children as leverage. The Walker-Butler household prepared for a celebration. Sophie's baby shower combined with Gerard and Juana's wedding announcement. The Victorian mansion had been completely renovated, every trace of April's presence removed. The new security lab results are promising, Juana told Gerard as they reviewed Sophie's latest research. Your daughter's detection methods are revolutionary. Gerard watched Sophie directing her team through a video conference, pride evident in his expression. She turned tragedy into protection for others. April never understood that kind of strength. In her cell, April Anderson wrote complex chemical formulas in her journal, trying to preserve the knowledge that had consumed her life. But with every passing day, her legacy shifted further from what she'd intended. Her poisons now helped catch killers, her methods trained preventive specialists, and her own daughter led the charge in ensuring no other family suffered as theirs had. Gerard's phone buzzed with a message from Sophie. Singapore attempt neutralized. 3 lives saved. Mom's formulas helped identify the poison before it was administered. He showed the message to Juana, who had become the mother figure Sophie deserved. Your detection modifications made that possible, he noted. Sophie did the hard part, Juana replied. She faced her trauma and transformed it into something powerful. The Walker family's tragedy had spawned a global network of protection. Gerard's architectural innovations, Sophie's scientific breakthroughs, Dwayne's security protocols, and Juana's chemical expertise combined to create an impenetrable defense against those who would follow April's path. April Anderson's name became synonymous not with scientific advancement as she'd hoped, but with the detection and prevention of intimate betrayal. Her quest for power and wealth had created instead a worldwide system for protecting potential victims. In her solitary cell, April read scientific journals that detailed her daughter's achievements. Sophie Walker's papers on toxin detection revolutionized forensic science. The Anderson-Walker detection protocol became standard procedure in suspicious death investigations. The final irony was that April's meticulous documentation of her crimes had provided the foundation for preventing similar attacks. Her detailed records helped identify potential victims before they could be harmed. Gerard and Juana's wedding took place in the same courthouse where April had been sentenced. Sophie served as maid of honor, her pregnant belly a symbol of the family's renewal. Dwayne, Israel, Jackie, and Bobby Blackwell attended as honored guests, each having played crucial roles in transforming tragedy into triumph. The Walker family legacy was no longer tainted by April's betrayal, but defined by their response to it. Gerard's ruthless pursuit of justice had evolved into a global protection network. Sophie's childhood trauma had fueled scientific breakthroughs. Even April's poisons had been transformed into tools for preventing murder. In the end, April Anderson's quest for power through poison had created something entirely different. An unshakable family bond strengthened by overcoming betrayal, and a worldwide system for protecting others from similar crimes. Her name would be remembered not as she'd intended, but as a warning of how trust, when betrayed, could forge something stronger than the poison meant to destroy it. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.